And our favorite newlywed couple is with us, Connie and Andrew. And we'll continue the newlywed theme with you all for a little bit. You know, about a year ago, I was listening to one of them programs they were on, and they described this beautiful understanding called the trust frequency. And I said, please, I want you to share that with our audience. And I had you shared once before a while back, but I wanted you to share it again, because now more than ever, with everything going on in our world, your tool is powerful. And then it leads to the dance of souls.
Well,
I think we should begin with a confession.
yes.
We're in our 20th year together. We were engaged for 19 of those years, and we've been newlyweds for the last 12 months. So it was, what should we say, sort of a romantic reset. And the beat goes on. We met at Omega Institute in upstate New York at a gathering of indigenous elders, indigenous wisdom keepers. And it was just wham bam, here we were. We took 3 breaths and got to work. And we've produced books and films, and we just are passionately engaged in our work together 7 days a week, probably 10 to 12 hours a day. We don't take vacations because who on earth, when you're on permanent honeymoon, what does that mean? You know? So thank you. This is proving, Scott, to be a very deep, profound, beautiful evening. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to honor and welcome all those masters, saints, and prophets who have joined us, thanks to the previous beautiful couple. And here we are, my beloved Connie.
Yes, and our coming together was so obviously divinely orchestrated. What brought me to the Omega Institute for that event, and what brought him there, and then just the combination of what we see, what we know, and what we understand, and our life experiences has just been a phenomenon. And we were told early on that we were twin souls. So
twin flames.
Twin flames. So
if there's a difference.
It's just been a wonderful 20 years, and it was a shotgun wedding because my daughter was holding the shotgun, who said, hey, you guys need to get married. You're getting old and it's complicated if you get COVID or anything else, and you need to do this thing. So we did it last Christmas Eve day in Aspen, Colorado, where I birthed and raised my children, in the John Denver Song Garden.
Outdoors in the snow. It was beautiful.
It was great.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, our trust frequency work is so aligned with what Julianne and Brigitte brought.
Pass me the book, please.
And here we have the book, the great trust frequency book.
Oh, it's probably reading backwards because, so look in the mirror and you'll be able to.
It's not backwards. We're reading it perfectly, actually.
It's not backwards.
It's not. Oh, it looks backwards on our screen. Okay. So the trust frequency, 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. When Connie and I first met and we started traveling together, and you know what happens when you're first together, there's just endless, amazing, deep material to share. And I kept saying to her, because I was hearing stuff I'd never heard before, and I have decades before that I started at 14 with some of my South African schoolboy friends, trying to figure out what it meant to be a Zen Buddhist. And we were trying to learn that from Jack Kerouac, so go figure. And the beat went on and on and on, and ended up coming to this country, and many spiritual masters, Native Americans, sweat lodges, psychedelic adventures, all sorts of extraordinary, personally, experiences. Almost 30 years of Sufi practice. And then I meet Connie, and she's saying stuff I've never heard. She had and continues to have an articulation of the nature of reality that I truly had not encountered anywhere else. So we're driving along, and for the first time in the next 100 times, I say, Connie, you've got to write a book. This is unique. This is remarkable. This is powerful. This is important. You've got to write a book. Well, what happened, Connie?
He wrote the book. Okay, and he's an author and he loves to write. I said, I'm not writing a book because we're coming into powers where we're going to be intaking information much faster, much more thoroughly than reading. So you will go ahead and write the book, my darling.
Oh, you mean I'm like old school?
Yeah. Well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? As we're talking about this new way of being coming through us.
So the book is titled The Trust Frequency, and it's about that very 60s term. You remember, I'm picking up good vibrations. It's about the vibration we are emanating, the vibration, the frequency we are vibrating at. And it turns out that as humans, we have control of that. If I'm feeling depressed or down or anxious, there's a feeling associated with that, an emotion associated with that. I know it, I recognize it, and I can change it. That's what's cool. And when I'm in love, it's a completely different emotion, feeling, vibration. So the in love vibration is very different from, shall we say, the angry vibration, the miserable vibration, the depressed vibration. And so many of us humans are going through difficult times. It's not easy being a human being on this planet. Let's just start there. So what we ended up doing in this book is creating, I set out to create a pop book, as in popular, as in something that wouldn't give you a brain freeze. I've read a stack of mystical books that are complicated, lots of big words, lots of complicated concepts. And how can we simplify this for the regular folks out there who have never had these thoughts before? So secondly, let's just say the subtitle of the book is 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. So what's a paradigm? We keep hearing these statements. Oh, what we need is a new paradigm. A new paradigm is kind of a new reality, but what is a paradigm in that sense? It's really a collection of assumptions that add up to our worldview. It's how we see the world, how we see humanity, how we understand the nature of reality or the nature of the universe. So very simply, extracting 10 suggested assumptions that we can truly depend upon that turn out to be pretty much the polar opposites of those belief systems that we were kind of programmed with, that we learned as children. We come in as kids, and by the age of 5, we basically learned the rules. And those rules lock us into a system that have us essentially trapped. And when did anybody ever approach you and say, excuse me, what are your 10 most fundamental beliefs about the nature of the universe? Our culture doesn't do that, do we? We don't do that. So that's what this book does. That's different from other books. It's different practice from other practices. How many people do you know who've meditated and gone to India and sat in ashrams, and 40 years later, they still are going, man, I'm still struggling. Why? Because they're trying to overlay a new reality over a fundamental, subconscious, deep inner belief system that sabotages everything you're trying to do. So this is a way to burrow down under that system that we've adopted or inherited and learn to live from a different set of rules. And having written the book, it's absolutely required of me that I should walk the talk. I'd better, huh? So I can report that, boy, is it liberating. Because anytime the going gets tough, and the going gets tough, every time, anytime, could be financial, it could be relationship, could be family, could be anything. Once I remember to trust the loving universe, I'm free, I'm back. I can simply, one single inhalation, and I'm here. So, Connie, how would we best, what are the best takeaways that our friends sharing this with us tonight? One of the things we're about to do has to do with the dance of souls, which is the applied trust frequency principles applied to relationships. So that's something this evening's work or fun or play here together. One aspect of it, this is about relationships. We have these two couples here with these relationships, and we got together with our kids, and we were liberated. We were beyond all that stuff. Ha 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 ha.
We
There is
still
always
had work to
stuff
do.
lurking. Connie has this little whisk broom thing, and she loves going into those corners.
Get into the whisper, into our subconscious, and get those little last pieces out. Because as Julianne and Brigitte brought through, going into these higher frequencies, we need to do our shadow work. We need to do our individual work, which is going in and finding those parts of ourselves we don't love yet. And so what we want to do is our assumptions, our construct on the nature of the universe, and then apply them to our relationships with ourselves, others, and the universe, so that you can walk away from this with some real tools for shifting your vibration. Because as they noted, there's a new energy, there's a new vibration. It's pulling us forth into this higher vibration, but we have to choose it. We have to be it. We have to do it. We have to walk it. And that's a job to do, because our soul came on this planet. We gave an overarching act of free will when we came on this planet to go on our journey to wholeness, self-love, self-acceptance, alignment with our divinity and our purpose. Okay, so here's one of our assumptions, is that there's only free will. Absolutely. Now you have to take this stuff as absolutely true for this exercise. Okay, it's a huge leap where we're going to take you, and that is beyond duality. Beyond the dualities of right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator. Okay? It's huge. In this time when we see all the war and devastation and all the trauma and everything that everybody's been through in their lives, how can that be love? We're saying it's all love, and we're going to show you how it's all love, because we're going to be in a lower frequency as long as we're still in that victim perpetrator, right, wrong, good, evil place. Okay, so sorry about that, but it's a big deal. If we want to get into that new earth, we've got to get up and out of that, and it's wonderful that all these avatars and folks come to us to help us get there, but we've got to do the internal work as well. So what we want to do is, what we'll bring is our first 4 assumptions about the nature of the universe. And first of all, our definition of humanity, which is that we are a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who chose Earth on our journey to wholeness, which I just mentioned, which is self-love, self-acceptance, alignment with our divinity and our purpose, because we promised to bring a gift to the party, okay? And all of creation is awaiting that gift, because we are all of creation. The new science is showing that it's a holographic fractal universe. Every thought, feeling, and action we take affects all of creation, and that's huge. But all of creation is in the little Planck tiniest little cell, because it's holographic. So that gives us.
So try going to a dictionary and finding that definition of humanity. Divine, autonomous, sovereign beings. That's us, folks. And if we didn't know that, we would never have guessed that, would we? Because it's an extraordinary, majestic gift that we are to the universe, each of us. Let's go to our definition of love, possibly the most misunderstood word in the English language. We like to spell it with a capital L and say the following. Love is the primordial life energy of the universe that creates, sustains, and ultimately recycles all things. It is the life force of the universe, of the living, loving, conscious universe.
And people call it God. And people say God is love and that God is everything, right? So that means that everything is love. But how can it all be love if we've all suffered all this trauma and if there's all this horrific stuff going on? How can it be love?
Because it's energy.
Because it's
And
energy.
it's responsive to our thoughts and our expectations and our beliefs.
So
there's a
what's the
personal
nature of that
responsibility
love?
here.
And that is, it's unconditional. All right? Unconditional love. Well, guess what? Our definition of unconditional love is a little different from what you're thinking. Okay? Our definition of unconditional love is it loves us so unconditionally, it gives us everything we ask for. Now,
Careful what you ask for.
okay, but we don't understand what our requests are. Okay? And it's physics. It's pure, unadulterated physics. It's energy, it's physics, it's vibration, it's frequency. That's it, kids. Okay, over and out. That's our gift to you. But we've couched it in the fact that it's love with a capital L. Okay? So we are so loved that the energies give us what we ask for. What are our requests?
Honestly, our thoughts.
Our consciousness.
Our consciousness, our thoughts, our expectations.
Our consciousness, and we have 7 aspects. Actually, we've added an 8th because Dr. Jude Curran has suggested we add an 8th, and she is all systems go for the trust frequency. And Dr. Jude Curran, you can go to her website.
Many of you will know her.
wholeworld-view.org. And she said, add an 8A. Okay, these are 7 words that begin, 8 words that begin with A, and they are our requests to the loving universe. We call them the 8 A's now. So this is a transition we're making between 7 and 8. Okay.
So it's the octave. We're hitting the octave here.
Yeah, and they all begin with A, and I'll say them in one sentence.
And then I'll talk about assumptions.
And then he'll talk about assumptions. Okay, but here we go. With expanded, now listen to the modifier, with expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose, there's free will, choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, attune to the universal energies, take committed action, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams. So let's see how much time we have.
Well, Ron, you do that,
Okay.
and I will. 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. A paradigm is a set of assumptions. So what would be a totally cool, enlightened understand the nature of the universe, how we live, the principles which really drive our thoughts, our actions, everything we think, do, and breathe. So the first assumption is a total contradiction to something. I'm a science guy. I have all kinds of university degrees, and they're in physics and chemistry and mathematics. That's where I started out. And in that world, I grew up to believe, or be taught at least, that the universe is kind of like a big clockwork machine. And it was certainly not, it contained life, obviously, but it was not alive in and of itself. It certainly was not conscious. It certainly didn't know I existed. So what kind of universe is that to grow up in? Ooh, so
Yeah.
assumption number one, we live in a conscious, loving universe that consists entirely of love. Everything that manifests is a manifestation of love, just as we humans are a manifestation of the love between our parents.
Yeah, and there is love, okay, which is compassion, kindness, empathy, okay, and then there's this love of the universe, which is universal love, which isn't necessarily compassionate, empathetic, or kind, okay, because it loves us so much that if our soul came to die by murder, guess what? Somebody has to murder us. Now that's a big deal, okay? I like to go to the extreme.
Careful, she's going to start talking about holographic murderers next.
Yeah, my daughter, who sees through the veil, said, "Oh, okay, Mom, if there isn't somebody there to murder this person, then a holographic person's going to manifest and do that." So, but meanwhile, what we want to do is apply this to relationships.
Well, let's get to a couple of other assumptions.
Right. Well,
very first.
Okay.
Yeah.
We go on.
So the second assumption is that the love of the universe is unconditional, absolutely unconditional. The third assumption is that we create reality by the power of our consciousness. You see, that's agency. We have the power to act because we create reality, the actual reality, the life we experience through the power of our consciousness. How many people on this planet know that? And once we know that, that film, What the Bleep Do We Know? That was my big takeaway from that film. And then the power of our consciousness. Consciousness, what's that? Science has had immense difficulty addressing it and is now finally doing it. But you go and ask us, a regular physicist or chemist or biologist, what is consciousness? And they'll probably refer you to the Pope, the church or something. That's not a matter for science. Wrong. It is the most fundamental matter for science. So what is consciousness? And the fourth assumption is actually, Connie just told us that sentence. So we identified 5 and then 6 and then 7 and apparently now 8. And republished the book. So we identified attributes or aspects of human consciousness that add up to that which we experience in every day of our lives. Some of those are active aspects of consciousness, some of them are passive. I place my attention on something, that's active. I allow the loving universe to manifest. Okay, I've done everything that I can imagine I need and allow the universe to manifest. These teachings are simple and they are just, they work. They really work.
They really work. And when we apply them to our relationships, okay, this dance of souls, this is a very big deal because we become conscious of what's going on in our lives, the mirrors that are coming into our lives that our soul actually asks for. Our ego, we put our ego in place to survive in this world and become happy, smart looking and pretty and whatever else, our culture asked us to be. But our soul underneath all that mask that we've put on to fit in, is sitting aspects of our selves that we don't love yet. And so we gave permission to the loving universe when we incarnated. Remember, we chose to incarnate on earth on our journey to wholeness. Now we're asking you to take this as absolutely true. Okay, so we chose to incarnate to go on this journey to self-love. So we actually magnetize behaviors in our lives to take us and give us the wounds we need, that we're covering up with our masks, and we've got this shadow side inside that we're defending. Okay, but here we bring in these repeated behaviors. So I want to ask you to look at the repeated behaviors in your life that trigger you. Okay, so the trigger is a big deal. The trigger is, and you should triggered.
Boy,
Oh my God.
we dance.
You should see what I become when I get triggered and what he does when he gets triggered. Oh my God.
You don't want to see it.
Oh my God. Okay. So triggers are key, because then that's showing us that we have work to do. It's not about that person. It's about the loving universe showing us that we have work to do. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you is to think about those repeated behaviors in your life that trigger you. And
or
that
in your
trigger,
relationships. That's,
yeah,
you know,
okay.
we have these serial monogamies, and
Yeah.
it's just, and you know, you think, oh, we got through that one, yeah, right, and the next thing it's back again, because we have inner work to do.
Okay, so when I trigger, I get loud and I swear and stuff, okay? But other people might just withdraw and leave.
I sprint.
Okay. No, I don't even want to tell you what he does. No. Anyway, but just think about your defense. Well, your triggers. What you do when you trigger, and then what is your defense mechanism? Okay. Do you withdraw? Do you make the other person bad and wrong? Throw it onto them, so that all of a sudden they're being defensive because all of a sudden they're bad and wrong, and you're all perfect and you're protected because now they're all. And what happens when he triggers, I trigger. So anyway, we just spiral down. But that's our gift to you, is that this is, all relationships are for us, not to us. Everything that happens in our life happens for us, not to us, because we're on this journey. And even this journey that we thought, you know, society wanted us to become, you know, Dad was a doctor, and so I'm going to be a doctor, and I'm going to be really smart, and then I don't get into med school. Okay, well, guess what? That's the loving universe telling you, guess what? You didn't even want to be a doctor. You came to be a poet, but Daddy doesn't appreciate poets. So life is going to take you places that you didn't think you wanted to go. And that's one of our assumptions, is that circumstance loves us more than we do.
So circumstance guides us on our journey to wholeness. How about that? Circumstance. So I'm not a victim of circumstance. Guess what? I am a beneficiary of circumstance. Every time something happens, whether we feel it's positive or negative or neutral, it is there for us, guiding us. It's quite extraordinary. Now, as you can see, this Dance of Souls work is hard. We have an online course. If anybody's brave enough to take it, please let us know, or it's Connie will put some links in the
Scott's going to put links in the chat, and he's hopefully he's going to just run through the website a bit. But meanwhile, we're offering a 50% discount for our online course. So.
And speaking of poetry, Connie, did you turn out to be a poet? But there's a poet named Jalaluddin Rumi.
So here,
are you gonna read us a poem at some point?
Yeah,
I think we have a poem for you that might be completely relevant to this conversation. So okay.
You can go online, and our course is on our website, and hopefully Scott's going to put in the chat a 50% discount for the course. And it's just key that we do this work. Is that automatic,
or does that need to go through?
It's automatic with a little code.
Okay, cool. Oh.
So, but it's key that we do this work, kids. Sorry about that, but we're not going to get our frequency up until we get to that place where we understand indeed there is only love. Okay, so
And everything that happens happens for us, not to us.
Absolutely.
How's that?
And
how's that for an attitude adjustment?
okay, yeah, and so I was going to read this. Janice Hall just introduced me to this quote. We've always been saying, okay, Rumi's thing about out in that field beyond right doing and wrong doing. So he's really the only one that's really talked about this beyond this duality of right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator.
And
Okay,
this is not a
with
quote.
that field.
This is a poem.
No, I know, but that field that's
Mhm.
out beyond right doing and wrong doing, I'll meet you there. Okay, that's where we've got to get to, friends, because to get into this new earth, to get into this new way of being. So because it's frequency, it's vibration. That's it. So Janice introduced us to this the other day, and this is
Listen to
Rumi's
this poem and see if it's relevant to what we have just said.
Rumi's guest house. Okay, this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes from an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all! Exclamation point. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its. Treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight.
Aha.
Not even he may be, he is. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Oh my goodness, does that encapsulate our dance of souls? Oh my God, Rumi, you're the man.
And gratitude and the attitude is the single most important thing. If we can actually be grateful to those who upset us, who abuse us, who to realize I am not a victim. So if I'm not a victim and you're trying to pull this perpetrator thing on me, that doesn't work, does it? I'm just going to thank you and thank you and thank you.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So how's that, Scott?
Beautiful. I have put all of your different links, including the film and the trust frequency and the dance of souls, but I definitely want to emphasize this one. Let's all make sure that at least everybody go to thetrustfrequency.net, thetrustfrequency.net, and then put in your email address. And that way they can keep you in touch with all that they're doing. And they are amazing. What role models, all that they are doing, the film that they're making, the trip to Australia, the dance of souls, the trust frequency. And what's most powerful is that you're walking your talk.
And guess what? You sign up for that and you get a free download of our online ebook, The Conscious Loving Universe, a guidebook. So what it does, it sends us an email and then we send you the link to our guidebook, which is a synopsis of the Trust Frequency book. So do sign up. We'd love for that. We don't send out many emails, we promise.
And please,
very few.
Please forgive us for the antique 15-year-old website, which we're about to update.
It's all good. And just know that we're doing a film. Scott's in our film, and many others. We have 70 interviewees so far, and it's In Search of the Future 2. The only way out is up to higher consciousness. And we're now going to Australia. We've been invited by various Aboriginal elders to bring in the ancient ancestral wisdom of the Aboriginals. And we appreciate any support. He's probably put in the chat, I think there's a link to see our 12-minute teaser. And there's some funding opportunities there, because we're leaving on the 19th of February and we are blessed. There's so much calling us to Australia. And we also have a first film called In Search of the Future, What Do the Wise Ones Know? That opens with the Bushmen of the Kalahari, whom Andrew has known for decades. And these are the most loving, gods must be crazy folks. And yeah, watch our first film that's free online. So that's that. So let's.
Thank you, Connie. That's all those wonderful offerings. So let's take a moment so people can kind of decide. All the links are into the chat box. People can pick and choose which ones. And to have a little bit of an interlude, we're about to bring on the amazing Raquel Spring with her astrology report. But I'm going to go to Omashar for a musical number so we can integrate all that we've learned from you, and people can pick and choose which links they want to go to.